What if I told you that being smart has way less to do with your DNA and a whole lot more to do with your phone? Seriously, it's not about these huge, brilliant breakthroughs. It's about the tiny things you do every single day without even thinking. So in this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the science of how your smallest routines are secretly programming your intelligence.
So let's just kick things off with a really big question, one that gets to the absolute heart of all of this. Is intelligence a fixed thing you're just born with? You either have it or you don't. Or is it more like a muscle, something you can actually build and train and make stronger? Because how you answer that changes everything.
And here it is, the core idea for our entire conversation today. Intelligence isn't some static trait you're handed at birth. Nope, it's a dynamic pattern that you create. Every single day, with every little choice you make, you are literally, and I mean literally, programming your own mind.
What's so wild is that major drops in our cognitive ability, they don't just happen out of the blue. Research actually shows they start with the smallest, most harmless seeming habits, the ones we usually just brush off as totally unimportant.
I want you to think of your mind like it has this invisible architecture. And every time you mindlessly scroll through a social media feed, or every tough conversation you kind of sidestep, you're laying down another brick. These tiny, repeated actions, they're what build the very structure of your future mind.
Okay, so what are these hidden traps we're talking about? Let's dive into some of these habits that seem so innocent but are quietly, day by day, eroding our ability to think clearly.
First up is a huge one, attention fragmentation. Every notification, every little buzz from your phone, every quick swipe to refresh your feed, that's not a neutral act. It's actually training your brain to crave novelty and quick dopamine hits over deep, sustained thought. This constant fracturing of your focus literally lowers your tolerance for the hard mental work that real thinking requires.
This quote just says it all, doesn't it? Think about it this way. Attention is the currency of intelligence. It's the gatekeeper. If you can't focus, you just can't think deeply. It is the absolute bottleneck for any kind of higher level thinking.
And then there's this really dangerous mental illusion called the Dunning-Kruger effect. It's a total paradox. The less you actually know about a topic, the more confident you are that you're an expert. You've seen this, right? The person who watches one documentary and suddenly has the solution to a global crisis. Meanwhile, true experts, they're often filled with humility because they know just how much they don't know. And this brings us to such a critical difference. On one side, you have confidence without any real substance. It's all about projecting certainty, interrupting others, and protecting the ego. But on the other side, you have genuine intellectual humility. That's the strength to say, you know what? I don't know. It's listening to understand, not just to reply. It's valuing what's true over being right.
This all ties into something psychologists call our need for cognition. Basically, some people actively avoid thinking hard. They prefer to just stay on the surface. But others, they actually seek out complexity. They enjoy digging in and analyzing things. The real danger here is that if you constantly avoid that mental heavy lifting, you're literally training your brain to get weaker. And all of that brings us to the final trap. If there is one single habit that signals your thinking is getting stuck, it's this: mental inflexibility. It's that refusal to update your beliefs or change your mind when you see new evidence. It is, no exaggeration, a slow death of intelligence.
All right, enough of the doom and gloom, because here's the really empowering part. Just like some habits can weaken your mind, there are others that can actively build it up, making it sharper and more resilient. So let's look at the habits that actually forge real intelligence.
Now look at this list. The most important thing to see here is that none of these are like magical talents you're born with. Cognitive flexibility, that's your ability to adapt your thinking. Curiosity, that's just the drive to ask why. Metacognition, which is the amazing skill of thinking about your own thinking. Deep focus, that muscle we just talked about. These are not gifts. Every single one is a trainable skill.
And that right there, that is the single most important takeaway. Intelligence isn't something you are, it's something you do. Every single one of those predictors we just saw is a trainable behavior. Think of your brain like a muscle. The more you intentionally put it to work with these habits, the stronger it's going to get.
This shows the huge difference between just repeating something over and over and what researchers call deliberate practice. See, mindless repetition, that just leads to stagnation. You can do something 1,000 times and not get any better. But deliberate practice, that's an active feedback loop. You try, you fail, you stop and analyze why you failed, and then you adjust. That cycle is the real engine of improvement. So how do we actually put all this stuff into practice? This last section is designed to be a clear, actionable blueprint for rewiring your brain and building these high-intelligence habits, starting like right now.
All of this is possible because of a scientific fact called neuroplasticity. And this isn't some self-help buzzword, it's the proven ability of your brain to physically reorganize itself by forming new connections. Your brain literally changes its shape and function based on the habits you feed it, and this is true at any age.
Okay, here's your 5-step blueprint. Number 1, disrupt your autopilot. Actively challenge your own assumptions. Just ask yourself, hey, what if the exact opposite is true? 2, practice reflective solitude. Just 5 minutes a day, alone with your thoughts. No phone, no noise. 3, train deep focus. Treat your attention like a muscle. Pick one thing and work on it without stopping. 4, reflect, don't just repeat. Analyze your mistakes instead of just doing them again. And 5, maybe the most important of all, update your identity.
This right here is the engine that drives everything. Your identity fuels your behavior. If you believe I'm just not a smart person, then all your actions are going to follow that script. But the second you shift that identity to, I am someone who can train my intelligence, you unlock all the motivation you need to do the work that creates real, lasting change.
So let's end on this one powerful thought. Intelligence is not a fixed trait, it's a behavior. And because any behavior can be changed, you hold all the power you need to reshape your own mind. Thanks for joining this explainer.